Welcome to the 2020 SNAP ENT Forum session, Making the Business Case, Employment Opportunities for the Long-Term Unemployed. My name is Derek Dolphin. I am the ENT analyst for USDA Food and Nutrition Services Mid-Atlantic Regional Office, and I'll be serving as your moderator today. The Bureau of Labor Statistics classifies individuals as unemployed if they are without a job or have been actively looking for work for at least 4 weeks. In April of 2020, unemployment reached an all-time high of 14.7%, and we all know why that has happened. In August of 2020, the national unemployment rate fell to about 8.4%. There's a report published by the Urban Institute back in 2013 titled, "Who Are the Long-Term Unemployed?" And that report states that a significant percentage of the population included in our national unemployment statistics are individuals that are classified as the long-term unemployed. According to the findings of the report, this population tends to be less educated, more likely to be unmarried, disabled, and impoverished. They're also disproportionately people of color, and the longer someone is unemployed, the harder it becomes for them to find a new job. Today, we will hear from our federal partner from Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration on what classifies someone as being long-term unemployed and the resources that are available through the public workforce system for this population. We will also hear from two quality SNAP ENT third-party partners that will share best practices and strategies that they employ to meet the needs of this population on how they engage their employer partners to provide employment opportunities for their participants. We thank you for joining today's session. Please remember that any discussions today do not reflect official USDA policy guidance. As you review the presentations, please ask your questions in the Q&A feature on the Zoom tab and add your comments in the chat box. Our first presenter serves as the Director of Adult Services and Governance at the Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration. He oversees the comprehensive adult employment services and dislocated worker programs, and that serves as the foundation of the national public workforce system. Please welcome to the screen, Dr. Robert Kite.
Thank you, Derek. On behalf of the Department of Labor and Employment and Training Administration, we're so glad to be with you this afternoon, and we thank you for the invitation to participate in the forum this year. Again, my name is Robert Kite, and I do serve as Director of the Division of Adult Services and Governance in the Employment and Training Administration. And my office does oversee several programs that comprise the foundation of the public workforce system. And today, I'm presenting an overview of that system and how the various pieces come together under the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act to serve long-term unemployed individuals. Next slide, please. It's helpful for job seekers to access employment, education, and training and services that they need to succeed in the labor market. It also seeks to help employers by matching them with the skilled workers they need to compete in the global economy. And I say that because the public workforce system really wears two hats, and we have a dual responsibility to both the job seeker as well as the employer. Next slide. This graphic illustrates the role in administrating workforce programs and also how funding flows from the U.S. Department of Labor through the workforce system to the local level. The workforce system is decentralized. States run workforce development programs through their workforce agencies, along with a state workforce development board that sets a vision and identifies key priorities. Governors appoint board members and sit on the state boards. Local workforce development boards oversee funds for their local areas, set the local strategy, policies, and training priorities. Local boards ensure decision-making and services are designed to meet the needs of the community. The American Job Centers serve job seekers and businesses directly, and service providers work with the system to deliver services. Next slide, please. We think it's important that you also understand and are aware of some of the key features of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, our WIOA, as we refer to it, our authorizing legislation. First of all, WIOA puts a focus on businesses. Businesses help shape the system and are important customers. Service delivery takes place at 2,400 American job centers located across the country, and we often like to refer to that as one of the best kept secrets in the world. WIA also prioritizes low-income individuals for workforce services under certain programs. WIOA also identifies 19 programs that are required to work in partnership on delivery of services and allow local areas to identify additional partners. And that's part of the legislation's push to really drive integrated service delivery. Next slide, please. Some other features that you should be aware of is that WIOA provides states and local areas flexibility in determining how to best implement their job training, education, and employment programs. WIOA also articulates that the workforce system must universally allow accessibility and be open to all job seekers. And I repeat that again, that the system should be open to all job seekers. Also note that the job centers are designed to be customer-centered rather than program-centered. And you will hear me refer to several programs within the presentation, but the ultimate goal is to ensure that when individuals walk in, they're directed to direct services to meet their needs as opposed to directing them to a specific program. We want the training that's provided to actually end in employment. We try and direct and encourage training at the state and local levels, not for the sake of training, but the expectation is that after training, there's placement in employment. Next slide. Derek mentioned the definition from BLS in terms of how do you define a long-term employed. And I have to say that the Department of Labor also uses that same definition. As Derek mentioned, long-term unemployed are those whose unemployment lasts for 27 continuous weeks or more. WIOA does not separately define unemployment, but does recognize the category and consider people experiencing long-term unemployment to be individuals with barriers to employment. Next slide. As you can see, since earlier this year in April, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a severe impact on the rise in the number of the long-term unemployed along the way. Next slide, please. And what has the Department of Labor done in response to that rise in long-term unemployed? Well, DOL has awarded 63 dislocated worker grants, or you may hear me later on refer to them as DWGs, but they're one and the same, totaling more than $274 million to states to help address the workforce-related impacts of COVID-19. We continue to review new applications as they are received on a rolling basis. DWGs are funded incrementally as we continue to review requests for additional funding included in the full application and awards process. As the economy shifts, WIA will continue to play a key role in getting Americans back to work by having services and resources available to individuals in an integrated manner. Local workforce areas and their AJCs have established operating guidelines in accordance with CDC recommendations to continue serving to the local service to the local area. And I say that because COVID has severely impacted the manner in which many of the 2,400 AJCs around the country operates. So one would have to check in their local areas to see what guidelines they're operating under. Next slide, please. Let's talk a bit about priority populations. WIA focus on serving individuals with barriers to employment, defined in WIOA section 324. Included in this definition are populations such as long-term unemployed individuals, ex-offenders, individuals experiencing homelessness, and individuals with disabilities. Additionally, WIA empowers governors to identify other populations within their states that they deem to have barriers to employment. Next slide. Now I want to talk a bit about low-income priority of service. In addition to the focus on individuals with barriers to employment, WIOA prioritizes funding of adult services to providing services to recipients on public assistance, other low-income individuals, and individuals who are basic skills deficient. ETA has been focused on ensuring that states are meeting the low-income priority requirement and appropriately prioritizing these participants. As such, ETA specifically reviews participants' data for this and works with states that appear to be falling short. It's worth noting that veterans and eligible spouses are also receive priority of services for all DOL funded job training programs, including the WIA programs discussed in this presentation. This means that veterans and eligible spouses who are in the other priority categories are sent to the front of the line. Next slide.
So Robert, before you go to the next slide, yes. I'd just like to engage you a little bit. You know, these folks that you have on this slide, these are our people, SNAP recipients of public assistance, low-income individuals, folks that are basic skills deficient. Those are our folks.
Well, you know what we like to say? We like to add one word there. They're all our folks.
That's right.
We're all striving to meet the needs of individuals no matter where they come from. And that's what we're talking about when we refer to there should be open accessibility to all job seekers along the way. And that's one that our Assistant Secretary has really been pushing, and he likes to refer to this one workforce system that people have many needs, but the workforce system should be able to address all of them collectively as we work together. Thanks. Now, let's talk about some of the services that are available through the local AJCs. The AJC networks provide access to an integrated array of services so that workers, job seekers, and employers can find the services they need. Each AJC serves their local community, and services are provided through various integrated programs, including but not limited to the core formula programs. And one of the four core formula programs is the Wagner-Pizer Employment Services. And in a nutshell, what this means is anyone can, both online or walking in, can come in and get basic services to help them find employment. And that can include, they can get labor market information, they can pick up job referrals, they can do a job search, find placement assistance, as well as reemployment services and unemployment insurance claims. Then there's the adult service program. And with the adult service program, we're pretty much talking about individuals who are in need of career and training services. And many of these individuals can be folks who've never been employed, they've never worked, been out in the workforce, whether they're starting from a young adults on up to older adults can come in and receive those services. And then there's the dislocated worker program, which is designed specifically to assist individuals who have been in the workplace for a while, but for no fault of their own, find that they're out of work, they've lost their job, there's been a massive layoff, the global economy has impacted where they work, or there's just been a change in the local economy and they need to retool to make themselves continue to be of value in the workforce. Next slide, please. Now, how do you access some of the local AJC services? With approximately 2,400 AJCs nationwide, most individuals have nearby services available to them. And I should say this, because if you go out looking for an American Job Center, you probably may not find it, but in different communities, they have different names. It's employment services, it may be career service, it may be workforce services. They go by different names, but they're all a part of the American Job Center network. Our national phone line, helpline is 877-872-5627. Again, that's 877-872-5627. But I would strongly encourage you to go to www.careeronestop.org, because in addition to providing a way to search for local area AJCs, you can find an abundance of resources there and tools that can help job seekers explore careers, investigate salary and benefit information, research, education, and training opportunities. Just a variety of resources are there that an individual can tap into at no cost whatsoever. Additionally, states provide additional information regarding workforce services to all unemployment insurance claimants. ETA's Assistant Secretary John Palish has been really working with TANF and SNAP directors to communicate with states the importance of aligning services to low-income job seekers, such as long-term unemployed. Where states or local areas have difficulty aligning services, DOL is readily available to provide technical assistance and potentially provide waivers to assist in this effort. Now I'd like to transition, next slide. To talk a bit about the services that are actually available at an AJC under WIOA. There are two primary categories of service which fall under career services and supportive services. WIOA authorizes career services for adult, youth, and dislocated workers. Career services are categories primarily as basic, individualized, and follow-up service, which could include initial assessments along the way for your skill levels, literacy, numeracy, English proficiency, as well as aptitude assessments. There's also services available for workforce preparation activities, such as resume writing, interviewing, and job search and placement assistance. And there's a comprehensive and specialized assessment of the skill levels and service needs. So it's all about trying to find out where is an individual, and based on the outcomes of these initial assessments, to find out what are their needs, how can we help that individual take advantage of what they already bring to the table or build on where there's some shortages to get them ready to move into the workplace. Next slide. Then there's supportive services. We all know that in some cases we can help an individual find employment, but there's other indirect factors that will determine whether that individual can will stay employed, not because they don't want to work, but because of other obligations and commitments. So WIA also authorizes supportive services, and individuals who are enrolled in the WIA can gain access, are eligible for these supportive services that could include assistance with transportation, child care, and dependent care. One may be in a training program and in needs of uniforms, other appropriate work attire, work-related tools, including items such as eyeglasses, protective eyewear, other essential safety equipment, even boots and so forth, if you will, to ensure that that individual, once they found an employment opportunity, that we continue to provide assistance to ensure that they can take advantage and stay employed over a period of time. WIOA gives states and local areas the flexibility to provide participants with the supportive service they deem necessary to enable participants to engage in career and training services. This human-centered designs allow local workforce staff to meet participants where they are and tailor supportive services to their needs. So we think this is a big, an important part of the process of helping individuals get back into the workforce. Now, let's talk about some of the available tools that I believe could be beneficial to one who's been long-term unemployed. And one of those is next slide, yes, I'm sorry, you're there. Is work-based learning and training opportunity. The opportunity to participate in work-based learning and training allows job seekers, including the long-term unemployed, to earn a wage while learning or relearning the skills necessary to eventually move into unsubsidized employment. We found that this is both beneficial, not only to the job seeker, also it's beneficial to helping to open up many of the doors with employers when they see that the workforce system is willing to help them as they reach out to give individuals an opportunity to come into the door to gain and access skills that they might need along the way. Next slide. Then there's transitional jobs. Transitional jobs are a type of time-limited and wage-paid experience. States and local areas can subsidize participant wage rates to the employer up to 100%. These jobs can be in public, private, and nonprofit sectors and must be combined with career and supportive services. So what you're saying is the workforce system is saying, hey, give this individual an opportunity, give them a chance to show you what they can do, and we're even willing to help offset the cost of their salary for a period of time. And the target populations there is for dislocated workers with barriers to employment who are who've been chronically unemployed or have an inconsistent work history. So you see there's quite a few tools that are available. Then there's on-the-job training. OJTs, as we refer to it, provides reimbursement to employers to help compensate for the costs associated with skills upgrade, training for newly hired employees. OJT employers may receive up to 50% reimbursement of the wage rate of OJT trainees to help defray personal training costs. The targeted population here are adults and dislocated workers in need of new employer-based skills, individuals with barriers to employment, including unemployed workers, including long-term unemployed, underemployed workers, and older and out-of-school youth. And finally, one of the tools that many of you have probably seen, next slide, please, is that there's been a major push to expand the use of apprenticeships across the country by the Department of Labor. And apprenticeship is an industry-driven, high-quality career path where employers can develop and prepare their future workforce, and individuals can obtain paid work experience, classroom instruction, and a nationally recognized portable credential. The targeted population here are youth, adults, and dislocated workers, veterans in receipt of the GI Bill, unemployed workers, including long-term unemployed, and incumbent workers. And I really wanted to emphasize some of those tools, particularly as we have the conversation around the long-term unemployed, because I'm quite sure we all know, for many people who've been out of the workforce for quite a period of time, it's also emotionally as well as financially an impact. So how can we help those individuals make those transitions back into the workplace, and also to work with employers to ensure and encourage them to open their doors to give many of these individuals an opportunity to come back and allow them to go through the process of making that transition back into the workplace. Next slide. I won't go into them, but there's a number of readily available resources that we encourage you to take advantage of. It will provide much more in-depth information about the workforce development programs. There's technical assistance tools there, as well as resources that can be tapped in to assist many of your clients and participants within the USA SNAP program. So with that, Derek, I turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. That was very informative, a lot of good information. There's a lot of resources available for this population. SNAP ENT definitely aligns with the workforce system in terms of emphasizing the importance of providing supportive services and resources for that. In addition, you talked about human-centered design, which is we're getting a big push from our leadership now to really focus on that and meeting families where they are. So I thank you for your for the information you provided, and we'll get back to you in a little bit. Want to shift gears, and these are some of the resources that Robert was alluding to. And so we want to go to our next presenter, kind of want to drill down now and go to the ground where the work is happening and where organizations are really trying to meet the needs of this population. So our next presenter is the First Step Staffing's Executive Director. She brings over 20 years of experience steering change and developing staff and partnerships. She also worked in the food access and nutrition arena for over 15 years. She is a board member of Inspiring Minds Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania Nutrition Education Network. And she was awarded the Minority Business Leader Award by Philadelphia Business Journal. Please welcome to your screens, Ms. Karima Rose.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Derek. All right, let's get into talking about who is First Step Staffing. Next slide. So what you'll notice here on the screen, what I would like to point out is that you see a little circle that says for good. We are a staffing agency, but we are a social enterprise. We have a mission-centered focus to our approach. Next slide. Since our inception, our founder, Greg Block, what he wanted to do was to find ways to provide opportunities for those with the most barriers to employment. In thinking of so, he decided to target the population of homeless men and women, returning citizens, and veterans. We currently are operating in Atlanta, Philadelphia, Southern California, Orlando, and Nashville. We currently are proud to say that we are the largest nonprofit light industrial alternative staffing agency in the country. Next slide. So what does that mean, right? So when you think of a staffing agency, you typically think of a for-profit organization. You don't typically think of it from a point of a social enterprise, but that's who we are. And our strategy, what we do is we go into various markets throughout the country where we have been requested to come to assist in serving our target population. And the way that we do it is that through standard typical process, we do acquisitions. So we will go in and we will actually acquire existing staffing agencies. We take over their existing customer accounts with the understanding that there is an agreement that these customer accounts will accept our target population, which is homeless men and women, returning citizens, and veterans. Next slide. So what does that really mean for us as an organization? In the midst of COVID-19, we all have done some shifting just to see how we can survive to get through to the end of the year. But for us, we have been really proud to say through the midst of it all, we've been able to stay on target for all of our goals. As you see on the screen, we have a $41 million revenue goal, which we've already exceeded. And we're proud to say that we are turning fast to hit that $34 million in wages paid to our target population. One of the things you'll hear me talk a little later is our wraparound services, and in particular that talks about transportation. We're an organization that we understand that there are barriers to employment, and so some of our wraparound services focuses around transportation. In particular, proud to say that we are providing individuals transportation in this past year. We've exceeded 100,000 rides. Next slide. This is just a little bit more detail as it relates to Philadelphia, which I'm going to do a lot of my focus for today on. In Philadelphia, we have really strong partnerships in the city of Philadelphia where we are reaching over 1,900 homeless men and women of Philadelphia. And in that process, we are also connecting with our returning citizens and veterans. But what I would like to point out most on this slide is the hourly rate. We are proud to say that at the present moment that our individuals on average are making $12.70. Some are actually making much higher than that. And they do have an opportunity to transfer over to permanent employment. And this year we have over 275 individuals who have transferred to permanent employment. Next slide. All right, so the rapid employment model, there's a lot of questions and conversations when it comes to rapid employment. Why should we do it? For us, it's a first step. We don't look at our job structure as a place for individuals to rest their career. They can if they so choose to, but we are really rapid employment. This is to really help people get on their feet again. We are able to put people to work immediately, and we're able to assist them in being able to make those connections. In particular, you know, it's about dignity. It's about pride, being able to have something of your own again, being able to stand on your own 2 feet. We all have barriers in life, but for our target population, they have limited access to resources that actually give them those steps needed to get out of their existing circumstances. Next slide. So our wraparound services are targeted in several workspaces, mostly warehouse. We do industrial work, we do mail sorting, we deal with food packing, we do cleaning, we do printing and imaging. What we're happy to say is that all of our customer accounts that we work with here in Philadelphia and nationally, they welcome our target population. They are willing to work with us as we address the work conditions, as we talk about transportation, barriers, additional support services that our clients may need when they're working. Next slide. Our wraparound services. So I mentioned that a little bit earlier. So for us, wraparound services, we understand that the population needs additional support. We're not here to be able to provide all of those, but we want to be a conduit to be able to connect them to those additional services. So within us, what we do is we provide transportation for all of our clients. They are able to meet at any of our dispatch locations, and we give them round trip transportation to and from work. We also provide regular job coaching. In addition to their orientation process, we have job coaches that stay connected with our clients to be able to ensure that where they're working is the best fit for them and their current barriers. In addition to job coaches, we have a unique model where we have on-site managers. We have placed staff of our own into all of our customer accounts so that they can work directly with our clients as well as our customer accounts to ensure that there is a seamless flow of communication and to serve as an advocate for our clients. We also partner with many organizations in the city, which I'll talk to a little bit later, as it relates to housing services. Next slide. So effective strategies, right? You can have a concept, you can have an idea, but if you don't have a process as to how you're going to actually implement your plan, what are your strategies, what are your methodology, then it's just a concept. And for us, we take it a step at a time. It's one person, one job, one step forward. Next slide. All right, so what you see here on the screen are just a few comments that we have received from some of our clients. In particular, what I like to say here, this is our inspiration wall. So we always like to stay centered as to who we're serving and our impact and how we're making a difference with the individuals that we work with. I'm happy to say that many of our clients, they transition onto permanent employment. They're able to transition into self-sufficient housing, but yet they stay connected with us. They reach out, they let us know how they're doing, and it's our way of seeing that some small step allowed them to step forward. Next slide. So the continuum of care, some of you I'm sure are familiar with the continuum of care, but when you start to talk about working with individuals with barriers, you have to accept the fact that there are multiple spaces that individuals will need assistance with. And you as an organization, you may have all of those services, but for us, we don't focus on all of those services. We understand that there are some superior organizations out there that this is their specialty. And so we work with them in our community partner referral system to make sure that we're able to connect with the various organizations to provide the support that our clients need. Next slide. All right, so homelessness in America. In America, we continue to see homelessness numbers rise, especially in the midst of COVID-19. We have not seen the impact just yet. Those final numbers aren't in, but we will see that individuals who are challenged during this time, they will also be at a space of trying to make a decision. How will they continue to maintain their housing? There are some existing subsidy programs that are helping individuals keep their homes as well as their apartments, but soon that will end. And if there's not jobs for them, then what's next? We see in our country that there's a lot of businesses are closing their doors permanently, and we know that these numbers grow. When you see someone homeless, it impacts you. It impacts your city. It impacts your social service systems. It impacts the world. So we're here to make a difference. Next slide. And we do that through really understanding that anyone can be homeless. Any of us at any point in time, something could happen. You could receive that layoff notice. You cannot have enough money in your savings account. You may need to stop working to take care of a loved one. You may need to stop working because you can't afford childcare. And before you know it, your savings has dwindled and you're left looking for resources as to how to maintain. And for some, they're able to find those resources, and for others, they wind up becoming homeless. Next slide. Returning citizens population. Nick and Ebony will definitely talk in more detail around this population, but what I can say here is that individuals at some point in their life may have decided, or I should say made a decision that have placed them into a system where now that they're coming out, they're left wondering what's next. Many of them have restitution fees that they need to pay. Many of them need to be able to get housing, but yet they don't have income. We have employers that require background checks and some employers that will not accept them based on their backgrounds. What we're happy to do is to work with that target population to get them to be able to start building up their resume again. We want to work with that population so that they can build up their income, so that they can pay out their restitution fees, they're able to get back on their feet, and to address any additional barriers that they may have. Next slide, please. So again, I've been talking a little bit about COVID-19. For us as an organization, COVID-19 did not stop us. we understood that this population that we were serving were going to be triply impacted and that we needed to keep our doors open. So in that same vein, we decided to keep our doors open, but we shifted our approach. We shifted our approach in ensuring that all of the individuals we serve were not only able to get jobs and be connected to emergency housing, but we also wanted to make sure that they had any of the healthcare or PPE equipment that they needed in order to stay safe out in the community. Next slide. This is a fun slide. So what you actually see here, believe it or not, is one of our customer accounts. He came to us and he says, you know, since I've been working with First Step, I have really seen things very differently when it comes to the homeless population. And I want to do something. As a business owner, I want to do something. I want to give back to the community. I would like to have a barbecue. And this was right before COVID. So he and all of his employees, they set up in Kensington, Philadelphia, and they hosted a barbecue. They gave out free food, they cooked, they interacted with the community, but they just wanted to be able to give back and make a deeper connection to individuals and hopefully inspire others to actually decide to come on over and start working, and that there was a space that they would be welcomed and they would be treated with dignity. What I would also say with our customers is that currently we have over 700 positions in Philadelphia that we are actually able to offer between Philadelphia, Atlanta, Orlando, Nashville, and LA. In particular, during COVID-19, what we've been able to see our customers do is step up to the plate. And what I mean by stepping up to the plate is that our customers have decided that they value our clients and they want to ensure that they're able to still work. And so they increased hourly rate. Most of our hourly rates have jumped $2 to $4. There's a few that have offered several referral bonuses for our clients. So as they get additional friends or family members to work, then they're able to get a bonus for that. They also were able to give them transportation credits so that they were able to keep those dollars in their pockets. Next slide. So our social enterprise, I'm just going to talk a little bit more around our social enterprise. The concept here, you know, is that individuals need to be able to transition into permanent employment. And for First Step, our first step is getting them rapid jobs. Our second step program is then trying to get them placed into certification programs that can really launch them into a career path of their choice. And those certification programs could be anything from construction work, it could be certification around becoming a truck driver, it could be certifications with OSHA, it could be certifications in the medical field. But what we've started to do is partner with other organizations in the community who offer these certification programs for free and are willing to alter the schedule so that individuals can still work. Because it's a catch-22, right? You need a job, you need to be able to make some money, you would like to see that money increase, right? So that you don't have to work more than 40 hours a week in order to live a stable life, but yet it's really difficult to work and take classes all week. So we actually work with certification programs that are willing to shift the program to allow our clients to work half of the day or half of the week and then take courses the rest so that they're able to still maintain their income. Next slide. This is just a few of our local partners. We actually have over 70 partners across our markets. During the COVID-19, what we actually saw as a business is that we gained additional customer accounts. So we have additional 30 customer accounts within our market in the past about 4 to 5 months that we have welcomed on. And it also includes national accounts. We've been able to really develop and strengthen relationships with some of our customer accounts that they have setups in other cities, and we've been able to acquire those businesses as well. In particular, Pitney Bowes is our national partner. Next slide.
So Kareem, I'm going to ask you to start wrap it up because we still have one more presenter we want to allot time for. So if you could just.
Yep, absolutely. Not a problem. Here are just some of my community partners. Some of them may be at this conference right now. Thank you for all of your support, but this list is not exhaustive. Next slide. Next slide. The key thing around community partnerships is you get results like this. You get happy clients who have made an impact, who are able to stand on their own 2 feet and take care of their families. And let's get, next slide. I want to get to at least Daryl's story.
Yes, let's see Daryl's story.
Can you adjust that volume?
Yeah.
Well, no worries. Guess what? Everyone will be able to get the link. We will share the link. We've posted it on YouTube. Don't even worry about it, Derek. So we do have a few videos that we would like to share that really helps you see in person the impact that we have with our clients, what it's done for them. You'll see on the next video that we have as well, this is one of our customers and how he actually comes in and he interacts directly with our clients.
So are you not hearing the audio?
No, we're not, but don't worry about it, Derek. That's technology for us, right? But we will make sure
But
that
I hear it on my end, so I'm wondering what's going on with that. But okay, let's let them finish, and then because it's only a minute, so.
Right, it's only a minute, but this is Darnell. And Darnell is basically talking about how he was homeless on a corner. Someone referred him to us, and he has since then been on his own. He has his own apartment, he has his own car, and he's saving to get his own home. And this is another video which we'll show at another time. We'll share it out with you. This is my contact information. I would love to understand more what you're doing out there, and if there are ways that we can strengthen our partnerships, whatever it's organization-based or government-based. We would love to work with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Karima. That was very informative. You guys are doing a lot of great work around the country, and it's great to see. So stand by, because we're going to have a Q&A at the end of this. We have one more presentation. The Chief Business Development Officer of the National Center on Institutions and Alternatives works directly with NCIA CEO to build and manage business and expansion opportunities. His work has led to the availability of programs for individuals in need that lead to gainful employment opportunities in Baltimore, Charlotte, Philadelphia, and DC. He's accompanied by his workforce development lead at NCIA, and she provides oversight for the Workforce Development Institute and supportive services in the regional vocational training centers of NCIA. Please welcome to your screen Gary Antonino and Ebony Nelson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank
or
you,
afternoon, depending on when and where people are watching this from.
But thank you for inviting us today. And thank you, Robert and Karima, for the great work that you do. So first of all, a little history about NCIA. It stands for the National Center on Institutions and Alternatives. We are a 44-year-old nonprofit that is in Baltimore, Maryland. And just a little history about the Herbert J. Holter Vocational Training Center, which is named after our CEO and co-founder. We launched Baltimore September the 11th of 2017, so we're just getting past our 3-year anniversary. We also launched a center in Charlotte, North Carolina in January of 20, and I'm happy to say that we're going to be able to serve more SNAP participants because we are launching in Philadelphia, which Karima, I'm really excited about working with you, and we'll talk later, but we're launching in Philadelphia, Washington, DC, and hopefully Raleigh sometime at the end of the year. So the populations we serve are the homeless and transitioning veteran population, and also those that are returning citizens and SNAP participants. We have 5 vocational tracks that we go through, which is the automotive, CDL Class B licensing, culinary, drone, and HVAC. And Ebony, you'll hear from in a few minutes. She operates our Workforce Development Institute, which removes all those barriers and gets individuals job ready. When people graduate, they leave us with all the tools that they need to walk into their prospective vocations. Next slide, please. Ebony's going to walk you through this slide, which talks about our path to client success.
Thank you, Gary. So here at NCIA, we have a very comprehensive process that we use to ensure that our students are successful from the time that they walk into our doors until the time that they are walking into their new job on the first day of training. We have a recruitment team that works closely with our funding partners and leadership team to make sure that we are in alignment with our goals, the quality and quantity of our program participants, as well as their needs, to ensure that we have what we need from case management to support them throughout their journey here at NCIA. Once those students or program participants have decided that they want to come on board and they're a good fit for our team, as we are a good fit for them in their current lifestyle, we then ensure that they meet our eligibility requirements. Currently here in Baltimore, we are funded through the Department of, DHS, as well as the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. So we also are a WIOA recipient and serve the WIOA population as well. So once the program participant has completed their intake requirements and are now eligible, they then meet with their instructors, they meet with their case manager and their workforce development instructor to begin providing them with an individualized employment development plan so that we can ensure we have their success plan, their goals, and their challenges readily available as we work with them through this journey to ensure that, one, we not only know that, okay, you're coming to go to a specific vocation that Gary has already mentioned, but two, what are your other career goals? What are your other personal and professional goals? And how can we tie them and acclimate them into this journey so that ultimately you are economically and financially stable? While the students are going through a 15-week course, they are also working with our Workforce Development Institute instructors to ensure that they have the soft skills and foundational skills needed to be successful. Once students have completed their program certifications and completed the Workforce Development Institute, they are then placed in our external Workforce Development Institute process, where they work hand in hand with our employer partners to make sure that they're ultimately gainfully employed. Once students are now certified, completed their programming, and are gainfully employed, we have a continuum of care program where we follow up and work with our students for up to 12 months to ensure that any barriers or challenges that may have come their way since they've become gainfully employed, they now have support, additional support and resources to make sure we can combat those challenges to ensure that they continue to be gainfully employed.
So this is just a snapshot of a system that was designed by a former Major League Baseball analyst. It is actually our system solution. So we track an individual from the day we say hello till at least a year after they've graduated from the program. Next slide, please. So as we know, all of our lives changed in March when the COVID pandemic hit. Right now, we are operating under a hybrid training model where we're doing in-person social distancing classes for the hands-on, but we also are doing virtual training through WebEx. Moodle is our online learning platform. We've provided, with the help of DHS, we've provided each one of our participants with a tablet and a full data plan and cell phones. And then we have each one of our classes are assigned to a staff member in addition to an instructor. We're able to help them with their homework, and we do a lot of online and offline training with them to make sure that they're prepared for the next day. Next slide, please. One of the things that I'm most proud of is someone graduates from our program and now they're going into the job world, and we have jobs for them. They are given the necessary tools that they need to walk into the door. So for example, I'll give one example, the automotive class. They are equipped with a 500-piece Craftsman toolkit where they walk in the door at an automotive center and they're ready to go to work. Next slide, please. So by the numbers, as of right now, we've served roughly a little north of 1,200 individuals. We have a completion rate, students that have achieved their industry recognized certification of 75%, an employment rate of 78%, and what we're extremely proud of and the real measuring tool for us is an average hourly wage of $19.20 an hour. Next slide. So if you dream a little bit with us, this is our goal over the next 48 months, knowing that we have an average income of $37,000. If we can get 2,000 individuals employed in a year, that means $75 million placed back to the economy when you take in the federal and state tax contributions, people not having to rely on SNAP benefits. We're making a difference of about $106 million a year injected back into the economy. So that's our long range goal. Everyone want to take this?
Okay. So why we're here today on the call, right? To talk about our long-term unemployed participants. Our employee partners are a critical component to how we ensure that our participants leave not just with a piece of paper, a certification, but also, again, become gainfully employed. They are heavily engaged in our process from the step of our students walking through the doors until they meet them at their doors to conduct their interview. From being hands-on engaged in our curriculum, providing best practices recommendations based off of the industry that they're in, allowing our students to come do site visits, get a taste of what it will look like once they become gainfully employed, and then also interview support, making sure that we can prep our students with mock interviews based on the questions that that particular industry will ask our students, because as we all know, most of them are coming in with no idea, no recollection about the vocation that they have chosen as their interest to complete a certification in. Next slide. So wrapping up, here is just a couple of our employee partners that we would like to show appreciation to.
That looks like more. That looks like more than a couple to me.
A few. We have local and national partners, so we are very proud of that as we are branching off into a regional model, expanding to serve more people across the country. We have job developers that are on the ground every day as we speak right now, working to increase our employee partners to look for local and smaller employers and businesses that will be willing to give our students what we call a second chance, because NCIA in Maryland is considered a second chance organization, and that is what we strive to maintain with our employee partners as well.
So Derek, at the end of the day, we're extremely proud to be a partner with DHS, the DHHS. But here's a short video. I don't know if you'll be able to get it all in, of one of our students that recently came through our program.
So I see that we're having some audio difficulties, which is all good. As Karima stated earlier, you guys will have a chance to view our presentation and our videos that highlights our success stories as well in full detail. A little bit about our student, Jerome Bethel. We wanted to highlight Jerome because he has a very tremendous success story, similar to others that we know. He came from a impoverished community in Baltimore City. He grew up with a lot of challenges and obstacles that we are all too familiar of. He didn't have any vision or insight to what his next step would be, but he knew that he did not want to return back to his old ways, which was ultimately resulting him back into the criminal justice system. He came to NCIA with a plethora of barriers and challenges. Our CDL Class B, as I'm sure you guys are familiar, is our most vigorous class. He excelled in that class. Not only did he excel in that class, he was able to help other students get their academic performance up and ultimately become certified as well. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that video and be able to listen to Jerome's story as we all get very teary-eyed when we hear it ourselves.
Thank you, Derek.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all of our presenters. Before we begin our Q&A, we would like to thank you, the four of you, for addressing this timely and interesting topic. It's a very important topic, especially in these current times we're living through. At this time, we will pose questions from attendees that we have been collecting throughout the presentation. Please note that you may still submit questions using the Q&A feature below. Again, thank you to our federal partners as well as our third-party partners for the services that you provide and for your partnership. Have a good afternoon.